Have you ever watched someone face life's greatest storms with unwavering calm? Someone who seems immune to the chaos around them, who carries themselves with quiet confidence even when everything falls apart. What separates these extraordinary individuals from those who crumble under pressure isn't luck, genetics, or circumstances. It's ancient wisdom that has been battle-tested for over 2,000 years. The Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, weren't academics sitting in ivory towers. They were emperors facing political turmoil, slaves overcoming impossible odds, and advisors navigating the dangerous waters of power. They developed practical principles not for philosophical debate, but for survival and thriving in the real world. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 ancient Stoic secrets that can transform you from someone who merely reacts to life into someone who responds with unshakable confidence. These aren't just feel-good concepts. They are battle-tested strategies that have helped millions of people throughout history build inner strength that no external force can break. But I need to warn you, what you're about to learn will challenge everything you've been taught about confidence, success, and happiness. The Stoics believed that true power comes not from controlling the world around you, but from mastering the world within you. Are you ready to discover what that really means? If this is your first time on my channel, I ask you to help me by subscribing and liking the video so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. Remember, you are stronger than you think and more capable than you imagine. Don't let the opinions and judgments of others cloud your vision of yourself. You are unique, valuable, and worthy of love and respect, the foundation of Stoic confidence. Before we dive into the 7 secrets, you need to understand what the Stoics meant by true confidence. In our modern world, we often confuse confidence with arrogance, bravado, or the ability to dominate others. But Stoic confidence is something entirely different. It's the quiet certainty that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. The Stoics understood that external circumstances are temporary and largely beyond our control. Wars end, economies collapse and recover, relationships change, and even our own bodies eventually fail us. But there's one thing that remains constant, one fortress that can never be breached by external forces: your mind and how you choose to respond to what happens to you. This is why Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest teachers, could say with absolute conviction, "No one can hurt you." Without your permission, he wasn't speaking. Metaphorically, he was sharing a profound truth born from the deepest suffering and the highest wisdom. Secret 1. The discipline of perception. The first secret lies in understanding that it's not what happens to you that determines your experience of life. It's how you perceive what happens to you. The Stoics called this the discipline of perception, and it's perhaps the most powerful tool for building unshakable confidence. Consider 2 people who lose their jobs on the same day. One sees it as a catastrophe, a personal failure, a reason to panic about the future. The other sees it as an opportunity for growth, a chance to pursue something better, or simply a neutral event that creates space for new possibilities. Same external event, completely different internal experiences. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, practiced this discipline daily. In his personal journal, which we now know as Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing for publication. He was reminding himself of this truth, because even emperors need to remember that their perception shapes their reality. The practice is simple, but not easy. When something happens that triggers an emotional response, pause and ask yourself, is this interpretation helpful? Is it true? What other ways could I look at this situation? This doesn't mean denying reality or pretending everything is wonderful. It means recognizing that between the event and your emotional response lies a moment of choice, and in that moment lies your power. When you practice this discipline consistently, something remarkable happens. Events that once would have shattered your confidence begin to lose their power over you. You realize that your inner peace doesn't depend on getting your way, avoiding all problems, or having everyone like you. It depends on your ability to maintain your center, regardless of external circumstances. Secret 2. The art of negative visualization. Second secret might seem counterintuitive, imagining loss to appreciate what you have. The Stoics called this negative visualization or premeditatio malorum, and it's one of their most misunderstood practices. This isn't about being pessimistic or morbid. It's about building psychological resilience and genuine gratitude. Most people live in denial about the temporary nature of everything they hold dear. They assume their health, relationships, possessions, and even their lives will continue indefinitely. This assumption makes them fragile and anxious because deep down they know nothing lasts forever. The Stoics faced this reality head-on. They would regularly imagine losing their wealth, their loved ones, their health, or their lives. But they didn't do this to torture themselves. They did it to build inner strength and to genuinely appreciate what they had while they had it. When Seneca was exiled from Rome and stripped of his wealth, he didn't collapse in despair. He had mentally prepared for this possibility for years. He had already imagined losing everything and discovered that even in the worst-case scenario, he would still have his capacity to think, to choose his responses, and to find meaning in his experience. This practice builds confidence in a profound way. When you've mentally prepared for loss, you realize that you can handle more than you think. The things you fear losing their power over you because you know you would survive and potentially even thrive without them. Try this exercise. Spend 5 minutes imagining the loss of something important to you. Not to create anxiety, but to discover the inner resources you would draw upon in that situation. You'll often find that you're stronger and more adaptable than you realized. Secret 3. The dichotomy of control, perhaps. The most fundamental Stoic principle is the dichotomy of control, understanding clearly what is and isn't under your influence. Epictetus taught that there are only 2 categories of things in existence: those that are up to us and those that are not up to us. Your confidence and peace of mind depend entirely on keeping this distinction clear. What's up to us? Our thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions. That's it. Everything else, other people's behavior, the weather, the economy, what happened in the past, what might happen in the future, is not up to us. This might seem obvious, but observe your own thoughts for a day, and you'll discover how much mental energy you waste trying to control things that aren't under your control. You worry about what others think of you. You stress about potential future problems. You ruminate about past mistakes. You try to change other people's minds or behavior. The Stoics weren't passive fatalists. They took vigorous action on the things they could control. Marcus Aurelius worked tirelessly to be a good emperor. Seneca wrote prolifically and advised leaders. Epictetus taught with passion and dedication. But they never confused effort with attachment to outcomes. This secret builds confidence because it focuses all your energy where it can actually make a difference, on your own thoughts and actions. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you discover immense power in the areas where you do have influence. Practice this by asking yourself throughout the day, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, practice letting it go. If the answer is yes, focus your energy there completely. Secret 4. The discipline of desire. The fourth secret involves transforming your relationship with wanting itself. Most people believe that happiness comes from getting what they want. But the Stoics discovered something revolutionary. True contentment comes from wanting what you get. This doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up on goals. It means freeing yourself from the tyranny of if only. If only I had more money, then I'd be happy. If only I found the right person, then I'd be complete. If only I got that promotion, then I'd feel successful. The Stoics realized that this kind of thinking is a trap. No matter what you achieve, there will always be something else to want. Epictetus, who had experienced both slavery and freedom, understood this deeply. He taught his students, wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. This wasn't about settling for mediocrity. It was about finding genuine satisfaction in what you have while you work toward what you want. The discipline of desire builds confidence by breaking your dependence on external validation and achievement for your sense of worth. When your well-being doesn't depend on getting specific outcomes, you can pursue your goals with full effort, but without the anxiety and desperation that comes from attachment. Marcus Aurelius, who had access to anything he could possibly want as emperor, regularly reminded himself, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. He had learned that contentment is an inside job. This practice involves regularly appreciating what you already have, while working toward what you want without attachment to specific outcomes. It's the difference between pursuing goals from a place of abundance versus pursuing them from a place of lack. Secret 5. The view from above. The fifth secret is a mental exercise the Stoics called the view from above, imagining yourself from a cosmic perspective to maintain proper proportions on life's challenges. When you're caught up in daily dramas and problems, everything feels enormous and urgent. But when you zoom out, you gain perspective that naturally builds confidence and calm. Marcus Aurelius regularly practiced this exercise, writing, "You can rid your life of needless suffering simply by thinking." He would imagine viewing his problems from increasingly distant perspectives, from across the room, from the city, from the country, from space, from the perspective of history. This isn't about minimizing real problems or becoming callous to suffering. It's about maintaining perspective so you can respond to challenges with clarity rather than panic. When you realize that most of what seems catastrophic today will be forgotten in a year, you can face current difficulties with greater equanimity. The exercise builds confidence because it reveals the temporary nature of most problems while highlighting what really matters. From the cosmic perspective, you see that your capacity to think, choose, and act with virtue is far more significant than any particular outcome. Try this when facing a challenging situation. Imagine how this problem will look in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years. Often, you'll discover that what seems overwhelming in the moment shrinks to manageable proportions when viewed from a broader perspective. This practice also connects you to something larger than your immediate concerns. which naturally builds the kind of confidence that comes from feeling part of something greater than yourself. Secret 6. The morning reflection. Sixth secret involves starting each day with intentional preparation through morning reflection, a practice all the great Stoics maintained. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. And the Stoics understood that a few minutes of mental preparation could make the difference between a day of reactive chaos and one of purposeful action. Marcus Aurelius would begin each day by reminding himself of what he was likely to encounter: difficult people, unexpected problems, frustrations, and setbacks. But rather than dreading these challenges, he prepared to meet them with virtue. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This wasn't pessimism, it was preparation. By mentally rehearsing potential challenges and his desired responses, he was far less likely to be thrown off balance when difficulties actually arose. Your morning reflection should include 3 elements: gratitude for what you have, preparation for likely challenges, and commitment to your values. Spend a few minutes each morning acknowledging what's going well in your life, anticipating where you might face difficulties, and reminding yourself of the principles you want to embody. This practice builds confidence because it helps you feel prepared and intentional rather than reactive and scattered. When you've already considered how you want to respond to potential challenges, you're far more likely to respond wisely when they actually occur. The morning reflection also connects you to your deeper values and purposes, which provides a stable foundation when external circumstances become turbulent. Secret 7. Memento mori. Remember death. Seventh and most profound secret is the practice of memento mori, remembering that your time is limited. This might seem morbid, but the Stoics discovered that remembering death is actually the key to fully living. When you truly internalize that your time is finite, everything changes. This practice isn't about becoming obsessed with death or living in fear. It's about using the reality of mortality to clarify what really matters and to motivate yourself to live with purpose and intensity. As Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. When you remember that your life is temporary, several things happen automatically. Petty concerns lose their grip on you. Relationships become more precious. Time becomes more valuable. And you naturally focus on what brings genuine meaning rather than superficial pleasures." The Stoics would regularly reflect on death, not to become gloomy, but to become more alive. They understood that denial of mortality leads to procrastination, shallow living, and wasted potential. Acceptance of mortality leads to urgency, depth, and authentic living. This final secret builds the deepest form of confidence, the knowledge that you're making the most of the time you have. When you live with awareness of mortality, you naturally prioritize what truly matters and let go of what doesn't. This creates a profound sense of alignment and purpose that external circumstances cannot shake. Practice memento mori by regularly asking yourself, if I had only 1 year to live, what would I focus on? What would I let go of? How would I want to be remembered? Let these reflections guide your daily choices. The daily practice of Stoic confidence. Now that you understand the 7 secrets, the question becomes, how do you integrate them into daily life? The Stoics emphasized that philosophy isn't academic theory, it's practical wisdom for living well. These principles only transform your life when you practice them consistently. Start your day with the morning reflection we discussed. Spend 5 minutes setting your intention, preparing for challenges, and connecting with gratitude. Throughout the day, practice the discipline of perception by questioning your initial interpretations of events. When you feel your confidence shaking, return to the dichotomy of control and focus your energy where you have actual influence. End your day with evening reflection, examining how you responded to challenges and what you learned. This isn't about harsh self-criticism, it's about continuous improvement and learning. The Stoics believed that each day offers opportunities to practice virtue and build character. Remember that building unshakable confidence is a process, not a destination. Even Marcus Aurelius, after decades of Stoic practice, continued to remind himself of these principles in his personal journal. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress and the gradual development of inner strength that no external force can break. The transformation awaits these 7 ancient Stoic secrets have been tested by centuries of practitioners in every conceivable circumstance. They've helped people maintain confidence through wars, plagues, personal losses, professional failures, and every other challenge life can present. They work not because they help you avoid difficulties, but because they help you develop the inner resources to handle any difficulty with grace and strength. The transformation begins the moment you start practicing these principles. You'll notice that things that once shook your confidence begin to lose their power over you. You'll find yourself responding to challenges with clarity rather than panic. You'll discover reserves of strength you didn't know you possessed. But perhaps most importantly, you'll develop the quiet certainty that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life brings. This isn't arrogance or denial. It's the deep confidence that comes from understanding your own resilience and from being aligned with principles that no external force can destroy. The Stoics discovered something remarkable. When you stop trying to control what you can't control and focus completely on what you can control, you develop a kind of confidence that is truly unshakable. It doesn't depend on success, approval, or favorable circumstances. It depends only on your commitment to living according to wisdom and virtue. Conclusion. Your Stoic journey begins now. As we reach the end of this exploration, I want you to understand that you now possess tools that have empowered some of history's greatest figures. Marcus Aurelius used these principles to lead an empire through plague and war. Epictetus used them to transform from slave to teacher. Seneca used them to navigate the dangerous waters of Roman politics while maintaining his integrity. But these secrets aren't just for emperors, teachers, and advisors. They're for anyone who wants to develop confidence that no external force can shake. They're for anyone who's tired of being at the mercy of circumstances, other people's opinions, or their own fears and anxieties. The 7 secrets we've explored today, the discipline of perception, negative visualization, the dichotomy of control, the discipline of desire, the view from above, morning reflection, and memento mori, are your toolkit for building unshakable confidence. But tools are only valuable when you use them. I challenge you to choose one of these practices and commit to it for the next week. Notice how it affects your daily experience, your responses to challenges, and your overall sense of confidence and peace. Then gradually incorporate the other practices until they become natural parts of how you navigate life. Remember, the goal isn't to become emotionless or indifferent. The Stoics weren't robots. They were deeply engaged with life, loving relationships and meaningful work. But they had learned the secret of remaining centered and confident, regardless of external circumstances. Your journey toward unshakable confidence begins with a single step: the decision to take responsibility for your inner life. You cannot control what happens around you, but you have complete sovereignty over what happens within you. Use that sovereignty wisely and watch as your confidence becomes truly unshakable. If this message has resonated with you, I want to sincerely congratulate you for making it this far and completing this exploration. This means you desire to improve as a person. If you found value in these ancient secrets, please leave your comment. If you don't know what to comment, just write unshakable, so I'll know you absorbed these timeless principles. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. Stoicism is full of teachings like this that are applicable to our daily lives. Therefore, I encourage you to continue learning about this philosophy that has transformed millions of lives across centuries. The Stoics believed that we all have the capacity for wisdom, virtue, and unshakable confidence. The only question is whether we'll commit to developing these qualities. Your future self is waiting to meet the person you become when you apply these 7 ancient secrets. The transformation starts now. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength, that unshakable confidence, is your birthright. Claim it.